Okay, so let's talk about something for when Joel Embiid comes back. Yes or no, would you play Yabusele as the primary backup to Joel?
No, not yet. I do want to see Yabusele
You know
at
what?
the 4. I want to see him at the
Screw
4.
it. Screw it. I'm there. Do it.
I think Andre has been that bad that you have to consider it, right? And I think, Devon, to your point, it is very early, and part of the reason you would not do it would be to say maybe you alienate him if you pull this early, right? Like, this is not necessarily the job that Drummond was meant for, right? Like, you want him to be able to hold down the fort in these games, and they signed him and gave him extra money with the intent, like, we need you to start these games that Joel is going to miss. But the main thing is the backup to Joel and those 15 minutes, those 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is. The problem has been they just look way worse, way worse with Drummond on the floor. Like, the numbers back it up. The eye test backs it up. It just, and Yabusele, when he's out there, you can see the limitations, right? They don't rebound all that well in those lineups. He actually has gotten a little bit better. He's made more rim protection plays this week than he did the rest of the games combined in 3 games. So there's a little bit of progress there. But I just think you see a level of floor intelligence in reads, in frankly just like effort on defense, in like getting out to the 3-point line, rotating, or just like pinching on somebody from if they're playing a zone and he, gets out and gets in a passing lane, arms out, hands up. He does a lot of the little stuff. And then the other end of the floor, he just helps facilitate better offense. He screens, he rescreens, he relocates around the perimeter as a shooter. He rolls harder than Drummond does, which is insane because Drummond, that should be like one of the things you do well, right? You are a big body going downhill. You should be able to do that just on pure inertia is going to like move you there, right? Like you're just, gravity is going to push you in that direction. And Yabusele does a better job of getting downhill. He's certainly a better pick and pop guy. He's a better passer without turning the ball over as Drummond does so often. So other than not pissing Drummond off and the rebounding thing, I don't see the case for playing Drummond over him right now. Now, that doesn't mean that has to be the case the whole year, right? And we might see Yabusele played 15 minutes in a few consecutive games, and he might stink it up in that role. And I would rather see him get more reps at the 4, where I think they need him to be long-term. But if you're just talking about like what they need to do to win now, Drummond has to play less. That, like, he just has not been good, and everything flows out of that in that starting lineup.
So the only reason I'm hesitating, saying no to your, or the only reason I won't endorse playing Yabu as a backup 5 when Joel comes back is just because I kind of want to see Drummond when he's only asked to play 15 minutes, when he's only playing a bench role. See if maybe you get a better version of him. See if maybe he has a little more energy and he's not as slow recovering on some of these shots. But based on what has happened, and look, I fully get the limitations Yabu has. And if you look at the on-off numbers, the defense has been sort of equally bad with both of them on the floor. It's like right around 119, 120 for both defensive rating for both of them. That's bad. I sort of like what Yabu's giving you defensively just because I think his read and react is so much better. His decision-making is a lot better. And you can, work around somebody who is in position but undersized a lot easier. And you can work around somebody who is just constantly out of position. And Andre Drummond right now is constantly out of position. This pick and roll defense is so bad, so agonizingly bad. But it's offensively, that Kyle pointed out, has been just way more fluid. And the Sixers right now have a negative 18 net rating coming into the game with Andre Drummond playing. And that's Andre Drummond's playing largely with starters, especially at the start of the game, start of the second half. They have just been untenable. He has been an absolute disaster at the 5. So I will say no when Embiid comes back. I will still let Andre be the backup center. but it's going to be on a very short leash because I just want to see if he can play better in short spurts against bench units. But if it's based on what's happened right now, no, he has no business being out there.
Well, they're bad on both ends of the floor, offense and defense, with both of them on the floor, offensively and defensively. One looks better, you're absolutely right, but they continue to lose in that way. So for what Yabusele is, for the things that he has shown us, to have the faith and even asking the question that Kyle presented to us, that's why I want to see him at the floor 4, because I think that value will be there for him at that position when he does. Secondly, I'll add this, that when Embiid does come back, and Kyle, you're probably more talking down the line, but we're also looking at the moment because they want wins. Embiid's probably going to come back on a minute restriction too, to start at least this week. And when he does, now we're overextending Yabusele again as that backup 5, where once again, he's not good on defense either. Now, I know they're going against New York, who, well, that's Towns, and then you're talking both Mobley and Allen for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's going to be up against an advantage there too. While he's stronger than both of those two guys for Cleveland, they're much bigger in terms of height and more skill when we look at what Evan Mobley does. So for at least right now, and the rebounding purposes, I stick with Andre Drummond for that reason, because of the minute restriction. And then long term, I would like to see Yabusele at the 4. Now, there may be a moment in those games when Embiid does return Tuesday or Wednesday, whichever one he plays, probably Tuesday, that we do find him playing the 5 because he's playing so well, where he's not giving up too much on the defensive end, but also doing the positive things that you guys have just mentioned about the offensive side. That's the problem that they have right now, that we're even talking about this, but it's also a positive sign that we're discussing this, because he has played well enough where down the line this could really be something where he's in that rotation and we're not too worried about the minutes that he's playing at whatever front court position Yabusele is playing when all 3 of those guys are back and healthy for the Sixers.
And look, to be clear, I don't love Yabusele as a backup center. I would like to see him playing at 4. Right. I want somebody who can alter a shot at the rim. I tweeted out a couple days ago that opponents had shot like 14 of 14 at the rim when Yabu was the closest defender. There's limitations. I get it. You just don't have a viable backup center right now, which is bad because you invested some resources, some of your last remaining resources, on Andre Drummond to give him that 2-year, $10 million deal. And you could have gotten someone probably better at this point with a minimum salary contract. It's been a really, really bad move.
But we also haven't seen him as a backup. So to your point, he's a backup. Now he's supposed to start when Embiid is out, but he's a backup. So let's see what he looks like as a backup, and then playing with more confidence when Embiid does miss those other games. They start to win games. He's playing better. He's playing less minutes. He's not taxed as much. And we'll see how it all plays out. See if that backup big man is actually what he is and playing well, and then decide if there's something that they need to do later on down the line by the trade deadline.
We all silly like the mayor.